Hi, I'm Dr. Jesse Scholes, physical therapist with McWanago, Wisconsin. Today I'm going to show you how to do a drop squat. And I should clarify that this is going to be a rehabilitation style drop squat, which basically I do with my patients to ensure that their hip muscles are working together along with their back. When I say hip muscles, I mean the larger hip muscles, the gluteus maximus, the medium-sized ones, the gluteus medius and minimus, as well as the small rotators of the hip that are kind of back here in this area. Now, if you know what the rotator cuff is of the shoulder, essentially these muscles down here are the rotator cuff of the hip. Now, their main function is to basically hold the knees apart or prevent them from coming together. So what we're going to do with this exercise is use some sort of resistance band or tube. Now this is a 1/2 inch, we'll say width resistance band that I basically triple loop together. But any sort of resistance band that you have or resistance tubing works well. But you won't want a very large diameter loop when you make this. Because if it's too big of a loop, your legs are going to be way too wide and this won't do you any good. Many times if we're squatting down, we'll turn our feet out, or we will kind of drop our knees in, or we'll get our legs really wide to work around those weaknesses that we have in our hips. This exercise is meant to correct that. So we're not going to overcorrect and have our feet together, but what we are going to do is have our feet shoulder width apart. And the other most important part of this is not only are we going to have our feet shoulder width apart with our feet straight ahead, but we're going to make sure our knees are at least shoulder width apart, possibly even wider. Now, besides a band, the only other piece of equipment that you'll need for this is something that has some weight. Now, here I'll be using a dumbbell. Don't worry about the weight. Some people that I've trained have used up to 60 to 90 pounds for a dumbbell. It really depends upon how strong you are and how much you need to lift during the day. If you need to lift 50 pounds, I would say on a fairly regular basis, you should be trying to do this exercise with nearly 50 pounds to get your body prepared for that sort of exercise or activity, because just doing it with 10 pounds is not going to help that transfer over to what you're trying to do. If you don't have any weights, that's fine. If you have a 5-gallon bucket, you can put some different objects in there. Or if you have a big heavy purse or a school bag or a duffel bag, you can throw some objects in there that basically will make it heavier. And basically you'll have your very own weight to use for this. Just thinking of other things you might have around the house. You could use a laundry basket and put some laundry in there. You don't have to make it super complicated. If all you do is lift laundry during the day as the heaviest thing you ever lift, a laundry basket would be absolutely fine to do this with. So how we're going to start with this is going over the basic concepts first. I'm going to put both legs in through the band. I'm going to bring the band to around my knees. Now, if you go a little higher or a little bit lower, that's fine. Around the knee area, somewhere in here is going to be sufficient. If the bands that you're using are basically pulling on your skin or pulling on your hairs, feel free to put a little washcloth in between your skin and the band. That helps to kind of take some of that pressure off. So, feet shoulder width apart, knees at least shoulder width apart, and I'm going to squat down as low as I can, keeping my back straight. Now, I never encourage anybody to do this right away without with weight. We want to do it without weight. There's a reason why. At a certain point, if you're not used to doing this sort of good quality squat, you'll have something that's described as a butt wink. A butt wink is basically when you're squatting, your back is straight, your hips are coming back, everything's in a neutral, good position, and then you'll see your lower back do this, where your butt curls underneath you, and then as you come back up, your butt will stick out again. What happens when you do that, there's a lot of bad pressure on your spine from shearing forces. We want to absolutely avoid that. So, what I would recommend you do is focus on bending down by bending the knees and making sure that your knees are shoulder width apart. And to make sure at the beginning, while you're learning this exercise, that you're doing it properly, put the back of your hand on the small of your back, fanned out like my hand is here. And I say that to a lot of people. The back of your hand on the small of your back. Not your palm on the small of your back, because that cranks on your shoulder and it changes your upper body position. But the back of your hand on the small of your back. Not here, not here, here. I know it seems weird, but there's a lot of people that do the wrong thing with that. I just want to make sure you're doing it correctly. So, with my hand on the small of my back, my feet shoulder width apart, toes straight ahead. I'm going to go down as far as I can, keeping everything in a good position. Right about here is my breaking point. Now, you should be able to squat all the way down, kind of a butt to heels sort of position. I went for a run this morning, my hips are a little bit tired, or at least that's my excuse. So right now, I can get down this far honestly, and that's about it. So, now that I kind of figured out how far down I can go, I want to keep my knees and feet, again, feet at least shoulder width apart, or exactly shoulder width apart, knees wider than shoulder width. Now I'm going to grab my little weight. Now, holding the weight however you want, you're going to go down as low as you can, keeping your knees shoulder width apart, making sure your back stays straight, and back up, keeping those knees wide, keeping your chest up and your shoulders back. Many times will help keep your lower back straight as well. If you said, can I do this with a barbell? Absolutely, and barbells work great. Same concepts and movements with the legs, but when you do with the barbell, hold on with your palms facing towards you, and if you watch my elbows right now, your elbows should turn forward. When you do that on the bar, you'll feel your upper back tighten. And when your upper back tightens like that, it'll help you not do that butt wink, and it'll help keep your lower back straight. The other small point I want to make is if you're trying very hard not to let your back, we'll say, do that butt wink, don't overarch your back and stick out your butt too much. We want to keep a straight spine when you do this, and that's the concept. So when you're doing this exercise, I would recommend doing 3 sets of 10 to 15, 3 days per week, about every other day. Before you know it, you should be going lower. Again, depth, I would say, should be your main goal, unless you have problems with a joint like arthritis, in which case you want to limit your depth, and you can always build up the resistance around your knees, or you can use heavier weight, as long as your body tolerates that. But I hope you enjoyed this video, enjoy the drop squats, take care.